作戦目標は帝国首都シュバルツグラード。作戦名は
ノーザンクロス作戦。
Greetings and salutations, my fellow gamers. My name is AFarCryAway, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Valkyria Chronicles 4 Trial Edition. Now, what this is it's basically a demo of the game. I think it's the first chapter, or starting in the second chapter. I actually don't know. I don't read Japanese so good. And, you know, trying to figure out what the hell's going on in a Japanese game while you cannot decipher a single thing is kind of difficult. But, I persevered, I pushed through, and the gameplay is pretty much exactly what you'd think it is, which is actually a very good thing in this case. To kind of expand upon that thought, or that statement, the first Valkyria Chronicles, it finally got ported to PC and I got to play it. I haven't actually beaten the game, but I've played through like at least 3/4 of the campaign, I feel like, and I have to say, I'm really impressed by how true to that game Valkyria Chronicles 4's presentation is. It's almost like they got the engine and just straight up put some new stuff in it, and I really do mean that when I say it. Like, it really doesn't feel like a different game engine. It really feels like you're playing Valkyria Chronicles, but just with new content, and that's good. Hear me out, because normally when a game recycles itself, and then it just calls it a sequel, you don't really appreciate that. You feel like kind of betrayed. But here's the thing. The one time Valkyria Chronicles has tried something new with what's it called? Azure Revolution? I didn't play it, but I just kept hearing terrible, terrible stuff about it. I know there's some fans of it out there, and you know, if you are, that's awesome. But I looked at it, it didn't really seem like it was for me. Also, the story was kind of, it just didn't feel like a Valkyria Chronicles game. For that introductory clip, I was playing the intro to the game. It got muted from my PS4 share recording, and that's why the resolution's kind of bad in this footage, and I apologize about that. But I was playing through the intro cinematic, and I found it so interesting that I was playing the classic Valkyria Chronicles 1 OST over its intro, or from its intro over the new intro, and it's like the same thing. It feels the same. And I found that just kind of funny, that if you slap the old Valkyria Chronicles soundtrack on top of this one, it really doesn't feel like too different of a game, and that's fine. But actually, this game has a pretty good soundtrack. It also has a really good, wide berth of characters, and I'm pretty intrigued by them, a little bit more so than the original game. The original game's characters, of course, were fantastic. I love them all. But this game has something going for it, and I can't quite explain it yet. But let's just say there's a cutscene where there's some drama happening. And at first I thought the drama was maybe something about the Darksons, and if you know anything about that, it's from the first Valkyria Chronicles and the anime and all that. They're like a, kind of like a race of people that got mistreated really badly during a war and lost, and then the victors told everyone that they're terrible people, and they've basically been stripped of all their dignity, and they're like always being persecuted against. I thought it might have had something to do with that, but I couldn't quite figure it out because obviously cannot translate the Japanese. But just like the kind of like tonality I got from the scene was that some of our characters in this game aren't going to exactly get along super well, and I haven't really read into the backstory. This is all speculation. This isn't like factual anything. This is just from what I'm speculating. It seems like there's gonna be like almost like a ragtag squadron feel to this game, whereas in the first Valkyria Chronicles, everyone was very professional for the most part, not all the time, but like mostly. I feel in Valkyria Chronicles 4, like we're gonna have a little bit more of a squad having to bond together moment, and I like that, especially seeing as the cinematics make this game seem like it's going to be taking place all over the continent, and I think it's in Europa is like the fictional setting that it takes place in. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how like they have like the whole Eastern Front thing fleshed out. It really does seem like this squad's gonna have to go through hell together. I'm really looking forward to that, and you know, seeing how they kind of work together through all of their wartime drama. So yeah. So whereas I can't really give you too much insight into the story, I can give you a good amount of insight into the gameplay since I've gotten my hands on it. Let me just tell you, if you liked the first game, you're gonna love this game. If you hated the first game, you're gonna absolutely hate this one, or maybe you might like it a little bit better, because this game does introduce some new unit types that you might find interesting to play as. But if you're not a big fan of turn-based tactical action, you're not gonna like it, alright? Because there's moments in this game where stuff really does kind of slow down, especially if you're not very good at these kind of games, and I am not very good at these games. That's why I still have not beaten the first Valkyria Chronicles, because I just started getting my ass kicked over and over, and on, you know, I just got stuck on a level. And I just don't remember ever going back to finish it, because I just got so frustrated at it at the time. And that's not for the game being bad, that's just because I was really impatient with it, and there was something else at the time that I just felt like I wanted to play more, I guess. But honestly, I think Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a game I really do want to push through, because I just want to see the story conclude. And same thing with the first game. I think I'm going to actually do another playthrough here soon, just so I can kind of like figure out what actually happens in the end. Because it really does, like the first game, if you haven't played it, it's usually really like cheap on Steam. It's also been remastered for the PlayStation 4. Please play it. It's like a 10 out of 10 experience. And the good thing about the PC version of the game is you can run it on a toaster, provided you play it at a low enough resolution. I'm sorry I keep talking about the first game, it's just this game reminds me so much of it. I mean, there's really nothing I can add. It plays exactly like the first one. The only real differences that I could feel were, well, the new unit. There's a new unit that got added to the game. She is like a mortar crew person, but like a one-man mortar crew. She has like this wooden ramp that she has as a backpack she pulls out, and like can launch mortar shells from it, and that comes like super in handy when you're trying to breach this castle, because there's mounted machine gunner positions all over the walls, and I was trying to figure out earlier in the mission, how do we take these things out? They're absolutely going to tear my men to shreds, and I was very slowly trying to push my way up to the you know, positions, and I just kept wondering, like, am I just sending my people up here to die, or do we really have to sit back here and snipe over and over and over for 10 turns just to take out these positions? And then once you capture the first base, you actually, you know, run into your newfound ally, and she kind of bails you out, and it's really a cool moment in the game. And then you can actually use her not just to take out those positions, but also to take out inbound infantry. A really cool thing about her is that she can shell the incoming infantry as they run to you during their turn. Now, it won't always connect because I think it's supposed to be almost like blind fire, but there's a chance that it can connect, and that's really cool. So basically, she's providing your troops with like free suppression, and I love it. And this makes me really curious with Valkyria Chronicles 4. Are they going to be adding more units to the game? Like, is it just going to be her new unit, or are we going to be seeing, like, a lot of new stuff? If there's a lot of new stuff, then the hype levels are real. If it's just her, that's still really good that we have another addition to the game. Now, hear me out. Like, the first game, in the base, I think it's like 4 different types of units, in the tank on top of that, because the tank is like its own unit. The commander unit, rather. I mean, that's already enough. Like, that's already more than enough units for a wide variety of different gameplay styles, especially once you start unlocking things like the smoke shells and better weapons and whatnot. What I'm really curious about is, like, yeah, are we going to be seeing, like, a lot more units, or are we going to be getting kind of, like, remakes of our current units as they upgrade? Because we really haven't gotten to see that much of the game, and, what I have seen is impressive. However, I would like to see more units or more unit variation added, because the one new unit we got is so fucking cool. Like, I just can't explain this to you. It's just, or overstate this rather. It's just such a cool unit, and I'm like, we gotta have more cool units, please. Game, appreciate ya.
待っていてください。必ず助けます。
よかった。
Oh, another thing I forgot to actually talk about, because I'm looking at my notes here that I wrote for this video. I haven't actually consulted the notes until now. I remembered I called the mortar girl Mortar Waifu, and I found that funny. But I also was looking at this, and I say, I love the new animations for potentials, both the positive and negative ones that are returning. What those potentials are is basically when your unit's out in the field and they're doing something, sometimes, depending on what their character traits are, they have potentials that are like buffs or debuffs that happen. So it'll either be like, oh, hey, I'm right next to this other character I really like, so now I get like +2 damage or something. It's like that, and it's also like, hey, I hate this fucking person, get them out of my face. I do like -3 damage or something until they're away from me. And I really like that stuff, because it kind of gives your characters some more dimension rather than just kind of being there and having a gun, and I really do appreciate that in Valkyria Chronicles. It really kind of helps flesh out the characters that don't really get much time in the spotlight in the cutscenes, and I really am a big fan of that, and that's kind of what helps that whole band of brothers feeling the game gives you. You really feel like your squad is relating to each other, you know, whether it be positively or negatively, they're always interacting, and it's a really cool, like, aspect of the game.
信じているのだ。帝国って言っても全然大したことありませんね。ちょっと叩いただけで尻尾巻いて逃げていくんですから。
お前は何かっていうとそれだな。おい、ちょっと貸してみろ。
ラズさん。やめてください。フィルムがもったいない。
何言ってやがる。未来の英雄様の写真だぜ。
いや、
カイ、お前も何か撮れよ。
そうだな。
あ、
いい写真が撮れた。
おい、マイルズ、言っていいじゃねえか。てめえどんな操縦して。
僕が止めさせたんだ。
あ、なんでまた。
風がおかしい。
But yeah, that's like it for Valkyria Chronicles 4. I know it might sound underwhelming, but honestly, once you get your hands on it, if you're a fan of the series, you're going to love the game. It's really going to hit you in the nostalgia feels if you played the original game back in the day, or the remake recently, and or remaster rather. Like, if you're a fan, you're gonna love it. If you're not a fan, if you don't like turn-based, you're gonna hate it. It's really a simple game to kind of give you an impressions of, because it's like, have you played the first one? Okay, you're good. And even if you haven't, if you're like a complete newcomer to the series, I highly recommend playing the first one, because it's kind of like this game, but just it did it first. But if you can't get your hands on it and you're just like either ride or die on buying 4, I say go for it. I honestly think this game is going to have more than enough hours for you to pump in, and story and like upgrades and stuff for it to be worth it. Like, I think full price, this game is going to 100% pay itself off. You know, if you're a single player gamer and you really like your JRPGs and stuff, like, this is gonna be right up your alley. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I think this trial version with only like 2 missions in it has given me more than enough leeway to kind of recommend the game. I really don't see how they could screw it up. If this comes out and somehow it bombs, like, in the scores, like, people hate it and it just is like a travesty to the series, I'll eat my words. But right now, this game seems fantastic. I've really enjoyed my time with it, and I hope you guys do too when it comes out. So, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Appreciate you. Peace out.